this to me.
No. You did this to yourself.
Yeah, boy.
The prize piece comes to join my collection.
My spirit is spent.
Still up.
Pain will be returned tenfold. Our lives. Behold my collection.
I will have what I want. It will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. Stand still.
Resistance will be punished. None can taunt. Scurry, scurry.
My irritation is growing. Death will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. Do what I say. Stand still.
I can't do this just yet.
Stop resisting. Punishment inescapable.
Toy. Cascade of pain. It will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. Take this.
My spirit is spent.
A cascade of pain. Stand still.
I require aid!
Yo, what's up? Welcome to another build guide. So in this video I'm gonna teach you how to play Blade Trap and destroy bosses. So first of all, I actually started the league as Blade Trap. So if you are following my Discord, maybe you already knew that, but I haven't actually shared any video or path of building for that because I wanted to improve the build later on. So let's first take a look at what Blade Trap is and you will understand why I waited for a mount maybe. Alright. Blade Trap is a new skill that is introduced in 3.15 GGG normally added this as a Saboteur skill, but we are actually playing Champion because that makes more sense with the style that I am playing. So first of all, the skill itself, you will just throw your weapons actually. You can play this skill with a dagger, claw or one-handed sword. I am playing with swords, Paradoxica swords, so I'm gonna talk about them later on. So if you are also dual wielding, you can actually have +1 rotate, that means more DPS. Plus, if you also have Helm enchant, additional +1 rotation. So once you throw those traps, you will notice that 2 blades are actually spinning on the ground, rotates 4, 5, even 6 times, whatever is the maximum number, depending on your gear, and depending if you are dual wielding or not. So that's why we are gonna dual wield Paradoxica swords in the end. So first of all, because I am playing Impale, Saboteur makes no sense at all, that's why we are playing Champion. Plus, Champion is also way tankier compared to a Saboteur in my opinion as a life build. So this is a life build, I have more than 5k life. You can go with maybe 4.5 if you are a lower level, or maybe if your gear is worse compared to mine. I prepared 2 different talent trees. One is for 92 levels, which is very easy to achieve, but my character was actually 98 level. That's why I prepared 2 different talent trees. So if you are a lower level, just pick the other talent tree in path of building and go with that. I actually haven't lowered the HP at 92 level talent tree, so you will have again more than 5k life, but will lose a little bit DPS, which you will probably won't even notice because you just destroy bosses instantly anyways. So first of all, if you want to play this as a lower budget, I will also share another path of building which was my league starter as Saboteur with Vulcanus daggers. That was a popular version at league start. I am not sure if anyone shared a guide or a video, I haven't checked, but I made that build by myself with a friend. We played that, it was very good with low investment, less than maybe 5 or maybe 10 exalt. It worked, I killed Sirus, those kind of stuff. Maybe I will also prepare a mini video, I'm not sure, maybe it's gonna be in this video, I'm not sure. But later on, once you have some good investment, you want to play as Impale Champion because that is simply broken in my opinion. So let's just start explaining with the Champion first. So the reason I picked Champion is because he has good synergy with Impale builds. Master of Metal, impales you inflict last 1 additional hit. This is like the best thing you can get on a Impale build. Plus, I am also using a Watcher's Eye, which is ridiculously cheap in 3.15 because no one plays melee builds. People just follow meta, which is, in my opinion, a very bad thing to do, but it's up to you. I'm not gonna make any comments about your decisions, but if you follow my channel, you will notice lots of non-meta builds that are very powerful and can do all content. So subscribe and like, don't forget, alright? So that's why Master of Metal gives a good amount of DPS. After that, Unstoppable Hero, combining that with Fortitude, Permanent Fortify. Fortify is a buff that reduces damage taken from hits only. It doesn't do anything to dot damage or time effects, unfortunately. Plus, with Unstoppable Hero, we will have some armor and evasion and stun immunity, which is huge in this game. If your character is not stun immune, you will eventually die in some scenarios, so this character is actually unstoppable. Finally, Inspirational. Banner skills reserve no mana actually. We are also using a Dread Banner buff, which is a very good DPS bonus for Impale builds, and that is actually free, and also 30% increase effect of non-curse auras, which is also Pride Aura, another buff that we are using, more physical damage taken, and it stacks in 4 seconds, so if you stay near the boss, you will actually deal more damage thanks to Pride, and these effects are actually better because we picked Inspirational. So we are playing Blade Trap Impale, so that means that this is a physical build. So let's talk about the stats that this character uses, what kind of things to look out for on our gear, jewelry. After that, I will obviously explain every piece I am using, piece by piece. We will talk about all of them. So Blade Trap is a trap obviously, so you can just go for trap damage, trap throw speed, trap trigger area, radius, whatever it is called. So anything that buffs traps. Plus it is attack, so attack damage also works. We are playing as physical damage, so physical also works. We are playing as crit. So how crit works in this build? This is actually like a melee build, but this is not a melee build because this trap actually doesn't have melee tag. Maybe most of you thought that this is a melee trap, but no, it is not. It is only an attack trap. So you cannot get anything that says melee because that won't work. So don't make that mistake, alright? If that worked, we would obviously use melee physical damage, for example, but we cannot do that, unfortunately. So this is not a melee build, alright? This is an attack build that uses swords. I know that that makes no sense, but this is how they coded the skill, the grinding gear games, alright? So this is an attack skill that isn't melee, actually. So you can also go for crit damage, crit strike chance, impale, physical damage, dual wield, because we are dual wielding, one-handed damage. So these are all the things that you can get to boost our character. So let's explain all the items piece by piece so you will understand better. First of all, Paradoxica swords. This is why I waited for a month to do this build, because Paradoxical swords are actually dropped from safe house betrayal encounters, and they are actually not available, and also they are not cheap at early league, the first couple of weeks. But actually the Paradoxicas that we are using are non-meta Paradoxicas, because this build, I forgot to tell that, but here is, now it's a good place to also explain that this build doesn't use attack speed. The blade traps have actually a number of rotations that they can do, and having higher attack speed don't do anything. It doesn't make any sense. You won't have more DPS, alright, because they will just vanish after a couple of rotations. If you have maybe more attack speed, they won't rotate, you know, additional times. That won't work, alright. So attack speed is useless for this build. You just go for percentage damage, more damage, crit multiplier, whatever, alright. That's why the Paradoxicas that we are using have physical damage plus crit chance for the weapon itself. If these are gonna get expensive later on, maybe don't get crit strike chance. Maybe get crit multiplier near a rare or unique enemy, so get another suffix. But for the prefix, you obviously want physical damage with impale. There are actually different results. Physical damage plus blind, physical damage plus poison, and also physical damage plus bleed. But we want impale, because I am not using impale support, that just got nerfed to the ground in 3.15. That gem is not good these days. On some builds we must use that, but for this build, because Paradoxical swords can actually have impale chance, I just picked those, and I can actually keep my impale chance easily, because I am also a champion. He also has some impale chance, plus dread banner, plus some cluster jewels and some notables on talent tree, and I have 100% impale chance easily. So make sure that your Paradoxicas have impale chance, plus crit chance is the best. Maybe after that, if you cannot find these are right now like 2 or 3 Exile dirt cheap, but if you guys decided to play this build, they are gonna be more expensive, so just maybe pause the video and buy your Paradoxicas right now. If you cannot find those, obviously again, maybe put crit multiplier near a unique enemy. That's the only thing that I can think of actually. I'm not sure if there are any other good suffixes for these swords, but these swords also deal double damage all the time, that's why these are very powerful. For helmet, obviously, I already said that at start. First of all, enchant blade trap rotates +1 times, meaning that your traps are gonna rotate 1 additional time, which will result in more DPS. If you have the budget, first of all, the first thing that you should get, maybe for DPS, is a Warlord base helmet with crit multiplier on your suffix, or Elder base helmet with nearby enemies take 9% increased physical damage. But if you want to just throw your traps and run away, especially in feared combat, you actually are not near the monsters, because you just run away on the outer circle. That's how I survived. I also died 2 times in feared, but hey, it's feared, alright, it's a hard combat. I just finished it with 2 deaths. So on those kind of combats, you don't actually get benefit from that nearby enemies take 9% increased physical damage. That's why maybe using a crit multiplier helmet on a Warlord base is actually better maybe on those kind of combats. If you have the budget, you can just combine the both with Awakener Orb, so a single helmet with crit multiplier plus nearby enemies take physical damage, And after that, obviously, you want to look out for some life maybe, or some mitigation if you have an open prefix. That's what I did. You can also use Harvest Craft. Keep suffixes, reroll, reforge, whatever it is called, prefixes. If you do that, you can just reforge the prefix if your helmet doesn't have any life, or if that helmet doesn't have any support to put life. Because both crit multiplier and nearby enemies take 9% physical damage is suffix, so you can easily reroll the prefix from Harvest if you want to invest further and fix your helmet. Body armor, you only need 2 things, the other things are just cherry on top. I actually sniped this body armor, but nothing to do, alright. But you don't need most of the stats on this one. The most important thing is attacks have plus blah blah crit strike chance, because it's an attack skill and it is very easy to cap your crit chance if you use this kind of gear. So that's normally very cheap. That's why I also combined it with you can apply an additional curse. Actually, they are both on hunter bases, so maybe you can just find something for very cheap. If you just search for those two on a astral plate or maybe other piece, astral plate is not bad, but it is actually a little hard to color this. I used lots of chromatic orbs, and you can also use Harvest Craft, non-red to red or non-blue to blue, whatever you are missing, alright. So maybe that's why maybe Astral Blade is not that good if you want something that can be easily colored, because the colors we are actually using are 4 yellows, 1 red and 1 blue. So if you want to play on an Astral Blade, that means that 5 of colors, which is hard to get on chromatic orbs. So make sure you get help from TFT Discord maybe. Use non-green to green, non-blue to blue, and fix those remaining colors if you want. So ultimately you want additional curse plus attack save crit. If you can find anything that works with more influence modifiers like physical damage from hits taken as fire, that's why I picked this body armor. It is just for some additional defense, and that's pretty much it. You don't actually need that, but it's just to make your character tankier. The curses we are using are Vulnerability and Assassin's Mark. Obviously Vulnerability provides more physical damage and Assassin's Mark provides crit strike chance and multiplier. That's why having this kind of chest piece is actually very good to boost your DPS. Gloves, Slave Driver's Hand, hands down the best in slot for trap builds. This was also very expensive at league starts because people just decided to play traps for some reason this league. That's why that is another reason for me to wait for this build, alright. Plus the Paradoxical Swords, because they are also expensive at the league start. Why are these gloves are good? Where is that? Skills which throw traps cost life instead of mana. So this build doesn't even use mana. You just use mana for some trigger setup, for your curse, maybe immortal call, those kind of stuff, and your mobility skill. But you can also use life tap, so they are actually also free. So that's why you don't need much mana on this build. You can just safely reserve almost all your mana with auras, buffs, those kind of stuff. Plus traps have area of effect, that's obviously nice, and 10% chance to gain charges when your traps are triggered, which is also good on long combats, because on something like a Conqueror you just one-shot it, but on something like Feared you can actually generate those charges and become more powerful and also tankier thanks to those endurance charges. If you can find it, if it is cheap, also get something with implicit corruption, maybe vulnerability curse, maybe attack save crit, or maybe, I don't know, life or maximum friends charge, whatever you can do. If you have the budget, if you want to min-max this build, that is something that you can do. My gloves had vulnerability, but you don't need that because vulnerability also exists on rings and it is way more cheaper. So just go for a ring, do not try to get this kind of gloves. If it is on the market, if you have the budget, obviously buy that. You can focus on other stats on your ring, but do not try to get a slave drivers with vulnerability, alright? That is not something that you need to do. Just get a ring instead and bam, fixed. Boots, easiest piece for this build. Just put lots of life, resistances and movement speed, that's it, you don't need anything else. For enchant, crit strike chance if you haven't crit recently, because we are not critting at all, our traps are critting, that means that this enchant works all the time, 100% uptime. So in this build it is very easy to cap your crit chance once you get all these kind of gear. I actually have 100% crit chance with my flasks up. So yeah. Amulet, First of all, if you need any attributes like intelligence, maybe try to get a base depending on that. After that, obviously life, because this is a physical build, physical damage to attacks and crit multiplier. Those are the stats that you need. If you also need some resistances, also go for those. Finally, for Anoint, I picked life Anoint, actually, discipline and training, because I don't need more DPS. I just wanted to push above 5k life. That's why I picked that. If you need DPS for some reason, just check Path of Building, because it tells you what to anoint. I'm not gonna even put that on anywhere. Just click show power report and it will tell you what provides the most DPS. So just check Path of Building and figure that out yourself. It is very easy. Rings. If you still need a curse, if your glows do not provide curse, just put a vulnerability curse on one of your rings. That is very important. If other stats, let's just go like that. Other stats after curse, if you need that curse. Life, obviously, resistances, physical damage to attacks. If you can keep your resistances, steel rings are good for additional physical damage to attacks. And finally, if your accuracy isn't kept, if you don't have accuracy on any of the pieces that I explained earlier, you definitely need accuracy right now. Because this is an attack build, you also need to keep your accuracy. I am also using, I believe, 7 levels precision. Not much, but it also helps to keep our accuracy. So make sure you have at least 96, 97%. Alright, try to go close to 100% hit chance. That's why accuracy is like #1 stat on at least one of your rings. You can also use attack catalyst to boost that accuracy rating. So make sure you fix that accuracy issue. And that's pretty much it. If you still need maybe attributes, also try to put that on one of your rings maybe, if your amulet isn't enough. And that's it. Final piece, rice latte coil belt, a best in slot for all the physical attack builds, more maximum physical attack damage, less minimum physical attack damage, plus some damage and life. So while buying this, you need to get something that has the maximum, the best, more maximum value. So the higher is the better for that more maximum physical attack damage. But because the less minimum physical attack damage lowers your minimum hits, DPS, that's why you need to get that roll as the lowest. So like 30% is the worst roll, the 40% is the best roll. So try to get something that has good, more roll, worst, bad, less roll. That's what you want to do. After that, also use attack catalyst and boost those values, and that's it. So let's take a look at the Path of Building, because it is easier for me to explain the jewels that I am using in Path of Building. So first of all, we are using some cluster jewels because this is not a melee skill, and we also want to get some trap stuff on this area. That's why, I don't know, going to this side is not that good in my opinion, because there are not much to get on this area apart from the trap wheel. I decided to use cluster jewels, which make some sense, alright, because we also need some trap throw speed. That's why cluster jewels are a very good place to get some decent trap throw speed. So let's talk about all the jewels that we are using. So first of all, a thread of hope with large ring. You can skip this, you don't need this if you struggle with the resistances, but I found this actually provides more DPS compared to not using this, because this is in a very good position for this build. So what this jewel does is you can actually get anything that is in this blue section without even connecting to them. As you can see, I picked like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these notables. Devastating devices, crit chance and multiplier for traps. Blast cascade, crit multiplier with traps, plus gain power charge when your trap is triggered by an enemy. We also have a 10% chance from our slave driver glow, so this means that 25% chance to get a power charge, which is a very huge percentage actually. Expeditious munitions, trap damage, trap trigger area, and throw speed, which is again a very good for this build. Assassination, because this is a crit build, nothing to explain. What's this? Will of Blades, crit strike chance plus physical damage, lots of DPS. Master of Force. I'm not sure if my overwhelm is capped, because overwhelm in this game actually have a cap, so maybe that doesn't work, I'm not sure. But 30 strength, which means 15 life. As you can see that I also get some life from this one. And 30% physical damage, again huge bonus. So lots of DPS. If you are maybe a lower level, but again I also have another talent tree here which doesn't use one medium cluster and this jewel, alright? So still more than 5k life and decent amount of DPS. By the way, Path of Building doesn't calculate this skill's DPS. You will not see something like this, less than a million, less than half a million. This is what my DPS was in Path of Building, but obviously we are dealing millions, alright? Because Path of Building doesn't calculate the full DPS. This, I believe, is like the DPS for maybe one blade. I'm not even sure what is this. So you actually have more than 10, maybe 20 million, alright? This is completely wrong, alright? Maybe they will fix that in the future, but this is a community Path of Building, so I'm not sure when they will do that. Yeah, that's our first jewel. Let's explain the unique jewels first. Coated Shrapnel, lots of physical damage if you have some small passives in the radius. We are using these critical strike chance nodes and these life nodes here. So that these are all actually providing physical damage thanks to this Coated Shrapnel. Because this is an attack build, that flat physical is actually very good. Because no one uses this jewel. You can also get something with Corrupted Blood immunity, which was like 30 chaos. Dirt cheap. Just go and buy that immediately. So this is a good place to use this jewel. If you maybe couldn't cap your resistances, also get this, because you will notice that this also provides DPS. Survivalist for some more resist, plus DPS thanks to this one. So you can also do that. So let's talk about the cluster jewels right now. Large clusters, first of all, obviously 8 points. Do not get anything more than that, because it's gonna be waste of points. So the combination I am using is one of the most popular for these kind of physical builds. Ironbreaker, Overwhelm plus lots of physical damage. Furious Assault, physical damage. Attack speed doesn't work because there is nothing else to put. That's why I picked this. I just want that physical damage, that's it. Attack speed doesn't work. Master the Fundamentals, easier to cap resistances plus physical damage. We are not dealing any elemental damage, so that is not a downside for us. Because this is a double cluster jewel, let's just also explain the other large. Another base with swords actually, because I wanted to cap my impale chance. That's why I picked Run Through. This is actually very good for DPS. This provides huge DPS because it provides impale chance obviously plus physical damage and impale effect. So maybe if you are missing that impale chance somehow, make sure that you picked here calculations, pick blade trap, see if you have 100% impale or not. If you are not at 100%, also get another of this cluster maybe and put that here to cap your impale chance, alright? So capping your impale chance is important. Make sure you have maybe like at least 95%. 100% is obviously better, because impale, as you notice, is actually the half of our damage. You can see impale damage 250k, combined is 500k. So without impale, you will lose like half of your damage. So that's why you need a good impale chance. If you get this exact combination, by the way, wound aggravation, this also provides DPS, but I haven't picked this. I just wanted to save some points. So if you pick this exact combination, Martial Prowess, Run Through and Wound Aggravation, you can skip this. Because Martial Prowess is actually better, we want to cap our accuracy, and attack damage also is good. And also Run Through, already explained, for Impale Chance. That's why this combination was good. I picked that. If you want to also get that, you can also do that. Because other combinations have Martial Prowess here, I believe. That's why you need to use 2 extra points. So this combination was better in my opinion. So the medium jewels, let's explain those. Guerrilla Tactics and Set and Forget, that's what I picked. Because Set and Forget has lots of trap trigger area of effect. This build, because we are playing a champion, we don't have anything to boost traps. That's why we want some area of effect, trigger area of effect, so our traps can actually get triggered. And obviously some damage, area effect, those kind of stuff. And Guerrilla Tactics, trap damage, throw speed and movement speed. Actually this throw speed is not huge. It's not bad, but it's not huge. If you play a Saboteur, you most of the time have something like 0.35 or 0.4 actually. So a Saboteur is actually way faster, because he also provides trap throw speed as far as I know. Let's just take a look. But Impale builds doesn't make any sense on this character, in my opinion. Trap throw speed. Yeah, he has some trap throw speed, but not that much actually. Maybe it's something to do with the talent tree, I'm not sure. But on a Saboteur you can have a better trap throw speed. That's what I'm trying to explain. That's why I picked this combination. So every medium jewel is this actually. Guerrilla tactics, set and forget. So we want some throw speed, area of effect, those kind of good stuff. So one of my mediums is actually a megalomaniac jewel. This was very cheap, that's why I picked that. This is how I kept my impale chance. Again, run through. So if you cannot find a good megalomaniac, because I'm not even using the third one, this is not insane. I just picked something with life, blessed, life, chaos resist. Don't search for this, by the way. Just search for run through maybe if your impale chance isn't kept, because without this I'm not at 100%. As you can see, I lost a lot of DPS. So this is actually very huge for this build, because this is not getting calculated nice. Alright, 9.6% combined total damage, which is huge. So make sure you have a 100% impale chance. If you don't want to get an megalomaniac, again get another one of these clusters, run through. Do not get this one. You can also do that. I searched for it. This seemed nice with blessed. That's why I picked this. That's it. You can skip this and get another large cluster to keep your impale chance. Finally, small clusters. Surging vitality, a must for this build. Life, regenerate life. Every 4 seconds, regenerate 10% of life. Which stacks? I am using 3 of these. 20%, 30% regeneration. This character has huge regeneration. That's how you survive. So these are a must. Do not get anything, you know, maybe fatal or whatever. You must get surging vitalities. Otherwise you cannot heal your character nicely. You will just die. Surging vitalities are best in slot for this build. You can craft these with single socket resonator. Pristine, the life fossil. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, I believe so. So just use the life fossils if you want to craft something, because you have a higher chance to hit also flat life. And if you're lucky, maybe you will also get some resistances, these kind of stuff. Because life fossils are cheap, that's why I actually spammed these and get myself some good small jewels for way cheaper. Because most people do not even sell these nice ones, let's say. That's why crafting these are actually very easy and way cheaper. And that's pretty much it about the talent tree. Final jewels, a rare jewel. If your level is lower, don't get this. Just check this talent tree, 92 level. I decided that makes more sense. Crit multiplier, life, crit chance, whatever. Double crit multiplier jewels are at least 5 exalt. That's why I don't recommend them. But if you want to min-max, also go for double multiplier. So the multipliers that work for this build: dual wield, one-handed, global. I believe that's it. Because this is not a melee build, this is not an elemental build, so there are not much tags. That's why those combinations are very expensive for some reason. I'm not sure. Do people even play dual wield attack build these days? I'm not sure, man. Finally, a Watcher's Eye, impale, inflict 2 additional hits, which is like 4 exalt right now, because no one plays impale builds these days. They are not meta, because people just play meta for some reason. I'm not sure, don't do that. There are lots of other good builds you can play, and I put lots of videos in my channel. Go and check those, guys. There are lots of cool builds that are not meta and destroys everything. And that's pretty much it. I believe that's about the talent tree. Yeah, I'm not gonna explain all the gems. Let's just go over them quickly. First of all, there's a note here. If your Watcher's Eye also has a maybe vitality mode, that's what my Watcher's Eye had. That's why I am also using a level 1 vitality. So if you don't have that, do not use that vitality. Maybe you don't need that, alright, because level 1 doesn't provide much if you don't have a Watcher's Eye. So first of all, while mapping, you want charge traps on your 6 link, so you can actually throw traps faster. That's why I have 2 setups here. You can just go for this setup while mapping, charge traps, faster throwing. At big bosses, it is again a yellow, green gem. So just swap that with trap and mine damage, because trap and mine damage provides good DPS but less throw speed. As you can see, that's why I am not using it on mapping. So other stuff, buffs, just link them wherever you want. Not even using an enlighten on this setup. So these are not actually need to be linked at all. Dread Banner for impale chance, effect, those kind of stuff. Precision to cap my hit. Do not level this to 20. Just lock this at a comfortable mana level. Alright. You don't need much mana, but for these, some of these skills need mana. That's why I'm just gonna explain that in a second. So maybe you need to use a level 3 vital, what's this, precision. If you are a lower level maybe. Alright. You'll understand in a second because I'm gonna explain that. Why you need a little bit of mana, alright? Skitterbots, trap damage and also chills and shocks enemies. Shock obviously provides good amount of DPS. If you also use unbound ailments, the shock effect will also get increased. As you can see, more DPS. If you have mana problems, maybe do not use unbound ailments because that will save you a decent amount of mana, as you can see. You can also skip this if you are a lower level maybe. Or if you cannot afford Enlighten because it is very expensive right now. Finally, Pride, more physical damage. These are all the buffs. So first of all, our second curse, Assassin Mark Curse. Anomalous if you want additional DPS. If you also use Enhance, this will also get increased. So 4% to 8% I believe. If you have, cursed enemies take 8% increased damage. Read the bottom line. As you can see, without Enhance, it is 4%. So some good DPS from this setup. So I don't want to cast this myself, that's why I am using Arcanis Brand, because it is easier. I can just throw my traps and Brand can just apply the curse instead of me. But because this counts as trigger, and in 3.15 trigger skills right now actually consumes mana. That's why this setup actually consumes like 40 mana I believe, or 35 mana, something like that. That's why you need that mana. If you have something like 20 mana, if you use Arcanis Brand, nothing happens because you don't have the mana. That's why you need the exact mana cost, at least that mana available on your character. So this setup actually works. Alright, don't make that mistake. So depending on that, do not use unbound ailments or use a lower level precision. Alright, fix that mana issue so you can actually use this setup. You're gonna ask, can I use an Assassin Mark ring? As far as I know, that doesn't work on traps for some reason. I haven't double checked it. Someone told me that it doesn't work. That's why also Assassin Mark rings are obviously gets expensive easily. That's why I just picked this setup. If those rings work, again, I am not 100% sure. Maybe use those and don't use this setup, I'm not sure. But this is way cheaper and more efficient, so you can focus on other stats on your ring actually. I will explain this later. Dash is our mobility skill. Second wind, so it has reduced cooldown. Plus Anomalous provides +1. I believe this doesn't provide cooldown, by the way. Yeah. My mistake. Second wind only provides +1. And if you also use Anomalous, it lowers the cooldown. That isn't important because it provides another +1. So you can dash 3 times in a row if you are in a bad situation. Alright. That's why an Anomalous second wind is actually very good. Finally, life tap, so it is free, so we don't need mana actually. We have some slots open, so a life tap is easy to get. Finally, bear trap plus charge traps. Bear trap is another trap that makes the target take increased damage from traps, which is actually huge because this is a more multiplier. As you can see, without bear trap, we lose a good amount of DPS. That's why you need to throw this, only one of these on a boss. Plus, Anomalous also has increased skill effect duration, so you don't need to throw this all the time. And using a charge trap maybe sometimes help you to get those charges faster. That's why you can maybe skip this, but we have an open slot. We actually still have one slot open on this weapon. I was actually using a portal gem. You can also do that, or level something, or maybe use a golem if you like those. But I mostly avoid using golems because I don't like them that much. Finally, Berserk, how does this work? I forgot to write that here, but let's just add that, and that's gonna be end of the video. So before a boss fight, if you just want to kill the boss faster, you don't need to do this, but obviously works. Make sure on your second weapon slot, you have 2 fast weapons. They don't need to be paradoxicas. Let's add those. These swords are actually cheap and efficient. Fidelitas spikes, you can see they have more than 2 attacks per second. So just use 2 of these swords on your second weapon slot. One of them should have chain hook. faster attacks, and the life tap, so it is free. It can be level 1 life tap, it doesn't matter. Faster attacks is obviously need to be faster, so level and quality helps. Chain hook level also doesn't matter. Gain 1 rage if the skill hits any enemies. So where is the enemy? Bam. Hydro sphere. This is for some reason counts as an enemy. Make sure you use a lower level so your intelligence is actually enough for this one. So just use Hydrosphere, put it on the ground, I mean, use Chain Hook, check your rage on the upper screen. If you have 50 rage, you are ready. You can also use an increased duration on your Hydrosphere so it lasts longer, so you don't need to cast it twice. Otherwise, to generate actually 50 rage, only one Hydrosphere isn't enough because it has 4 seconds of duration. So you need to actually cast a new one. That's why using an increased duration actually increases the duration, so you don't have to cast Hydrosphere twice. So before a big boss, maybe like not Uber Elder because you cannot burst those. Let's say maybe Shaper, Sirus, any Conqueror or Guardian, something that you can one-shot or deal good amount of damage with your cooldowns, flasks, everything up. Just weapon swap before going for the boss. Put Hydrosphere. Press Chain Hook until you have 50 rage. Weapon swap again to your Paradoxicas, obviously. Go for the boss, throw all your traps. Throw only one beer trap. And also put Arcanist Brand so it can apply Arcanist Brand. Once the boss gets activated, once your traps are hitting the boss, also press Berserk. More damage with attacks. And also less damage taken, so you're actually a tank here, so maybe you can face tank the boss. You can even tank Phoenix. Phoenix's explosion as far as I know. So yeah, just face tank the boss if you can do that. Bam bam bam, cooldown up, boss is dead. Obviously on Uber Elder, Feared, those kind of multi-boss fights, long fights, you cannot do this setup. You cannot do this. You can just do this at start, burst the first boss maybe, and that's it. Because while fighting the boss, you cannot obviously weapon swap and chain hook to the Hydrosphere. That makes no sense. So yeah, this is just to burst the first boss or whatever. You understood what's going on with this setup. If you don't want to bother with this, or if you want to level other gems on your second weapon slot so you can make some money while playing this game, obviously do not use this setup. Do not use these because these are actually waste of gem slots if you want to level other gems for profit. That's it. I'm not gonna explain Pantheons. They are obviously here. The bandits are here. Most people still ask me bandits. It is here. Learn how to use Path of Building, guys. Again, another talent tree here. Configuration is here. If you want to calculate your own DPS, just tick whatever I am ticking. I haven't even ticked frenzy charges because most bosses just dies before I can get these. So if you on a longer fight, you can actually have a higher DPS. Because my crit chance is kept, it doesn't matter if I pick these. But obviously if I don't have Battle Fate up, I am not capped. But with the power charges again, we are probably, yeah, again capped. Because we obviously generate power and frenzy charges thanks to Slave Driver's Hand and these ones here, Blast Cascade, power charge chance. So on longer fights, you can easily also generate those charges and never run out of them because it is very easy to generate them actually. That's it. I explained everything. I believe this is the only guide on the internet because no one plays this. I was like rank 1 and bam, no one else was on the leaderboard. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. I have more guides coming soon. If you obviously have any questions that are not in this video, you can also ask those in Discord. That's where I chat with people. And if you are feeling generous, you can support me on Patreon. The lowest package is like $3, man. If you feel like it, please support me if you want. And that's it. I will see you later. Bye bye.